Good morning, Sterling Humanities students, and happy Friday. Mr. Bailey here coming to you with your video on demand of the day. And it is a two-parter as we look to finally put our argument writing piece together and start thinking about publishing. Your first task today is going to be working with transition words. Transition words are essentially the links that put the different train cars together in a writing piece. So as you put together and move from your claim to your evidence, to your analysis, to your reasoning, to your conclusion, it's the transition words that really put a nice shine on the car and make it all fit together, sound professional, and link everything in a way that makes it one cohesive writing piece. Up to this point, we've been working kind of piece by piece, chunking it up into smaller sections. And now we kind of really need to go in and smooth everything out, make it look professional, and get that ready to send off to the different people that you want to publish your work to. So what you can see here is this Google Doc that I have made for folks that contains all these different amazing transition words that you can use, and I've put them into categories. So as you look, we've got the first one about how you can introduce different examples. The second one is writing lists and sequences. So if you were moving through explaining things kind of step by step. Introducing an alternative viewpoint. You have that section of your graphic organizer that talks about that counterpoint, the counter argument. These are all words that would be great when talking about that. As you move down the list, if you wanted to restate an idea in a different way, there's some words to do that. Adding to a point already made. These might be great in a conclusion paragraph. And then returning to emphasize your earlier viewpoint. So maybe after you talk about your counter argument, you want to go back to explaining your point of view, whether remote learning is great or not. And you might use some of these words and phrases to do that. Lastly, down here, I have put a bunch of different ways to introduce a concluding paragraph that doesn't start with "in conclusion" or "my conclusion is." These are a bunch of great words that you can use different than "in conclusion." Ms. Peterson and I have been working with folks to do that over the course of the year and really kind of make your writing look a little more professional. What I'm hoping you can do today is go into this document at the top called Final Argument Writing. I'm hoping that you're going to be able to go into that graphic organizer that you worked on Wednesday and copy and paste in the different sections. So copy and paste in the hook, the claim, those paragraphs about evidence and analysis, the counter argument, and then the conclusion. And then once that's in here, I would like you to go into this document about transition words. And I am hoping that you will go in and highlight one from each column that you're going to use in your final paper. So as you go and look, you might use an example of this, or in the following examples, you're going to come in here, highlight the word, and then come up here and use the highlighter tool next to the text box. And you can highlight it in any color you'd like. But when you turn this in today, Ms. Peterson and I will be able to go into this document and see specifically that you've used a transition word from each of these columns to really tie your paper together. Obviously, you're not going to want to do that all in one paragraph. So please sprinkle these throughout. And you can certainly use more than one transition word from each column as you see fit. Really depends on your writing style and the type of paper you're going for. So that's what we're looking for part one of our assignment today. Shouldn't take a lot of work. You're not really doing a ton of new writing. You're copying and pasting in those different sections of your graphic organizer and then adding those transition words to really create a professional looking paper. Okay, on to part two. Woo woo, the sequel. The other thing we need to be thinking about is who is going to see this argument writing piece. Obviously, Ms. Peterson and I have been looking at it all along, but we want you to really think about the audience. This is your opportunity to share with the world, however you define the world, what remote learning has been like for you. Has it been good? Has it been not good? And all the reasons why. So the other thing you'll see in the Google class assignment is this document called Audience. You're going to be able to have editing rights to this. I have gone in and added in some ideas that Ms. Peterson and I brainstormed earlier in the week. People you might want to send your argument writing piece to. Mr. Marino, our building principal, Miss Pinkney, our superintendent, Phil Scott, our governor, Dan French, who's the secretary of education. The Williston Observer might be the town newspaper. Maybe you send it to Miss Parks, who is our principal. And what I'd like you to do is not necessarily add in like your mom and dad down below, but other people that we might consider sending these things to. So really be thoughtful about who might want to see your argument writing piece, who might be interested in kind of understanding a kid's perspective. And maybe the list doesn't get any bigger. But if you have some good ideas of people or things like the Observer that might be interesting places to publish some of our work to, that would be great. Now, as we think about that, we're not going to ask everybody to send Mr. Marino or Miss Pinkney or the Williston Observer letters. We're going to help you pick and choose next week. So next week is really when we're going to focus in on who to send this to, how best to do that. So this document is really a brainstorm. And then next week, Miss Peterson and I will start to fill in the contact information for folks to be able to send your work off. Some of you may not be comfortable sending it to a broader audience, and you might just share something with people in your house. You might send it to some relatives in other places and really just help them understand what life has been like for you for the past 6 weeks or so. So those are your two-part tasks today. Copy and paste in that graphic organizer that you did on Wednesday for Miss Peterson. Put that in here as like one final paper, getting rid of the different columns, and then coming in here, picking transition words from each column, as many as you'd like, but ideally one from each column. Start that concluding paragraph off with something different, and then come in here and help us brainstorm any potential audience members that we may want to consider sending these pieces of work to. Ms. Peterson and I will obviously be available today from 12:30 to 1:30 at office hours to help you in any way we can. I hope folks have an amazing end of your week on Friday. Be well, and I will talk to you soon.